The amount of training that you do leading up until that point is what you go into the fight with.
If you're not fit, you're gonna die.
If you're not skilled, you're gonna die.
It all comes down to training. If you suck, you suck.
I am a self-taught civilian that developed a superior way to acquire skills faster and much more cost-effectively. Part of the approach is to use great shooters as inspiration to focus the athlete with very specific and measurable short-term goals. I want to teach this to you. This is the dry fire I did to beat the king of the 1, 2, 3, 4 transition drill, Lucas Botkin. I had never done the 1, 2, 3, 4 transition drill before and started at a 4.73 seconds, but after 2 hours of dry fire, I improved to a respectable 2.93, but for one set only. And I failed to get 3 sets in a row under 3 seconds, so back to dry fire and asking the community for tips. Tip 1 came from Dan Hiss's comments, being more aggressive on my stance, trusting my point of aim, and keeping my finger in the guard. And then A. Lorick, get a Mantis Blackbeard AR-15 trigger reset system. Done on both. This is where it got real interesting. I was able to get into Lucas's territory from a cold start with 3 sets in a row under 3 seconds. In fact, my average of 2.83 seconds was only 1/100th of a second slower than Lucas's 2.82 seconds. This is how I did it, and it's how you can do it too.
Let's talk about goals, but in a different way. Goals today are most people will set goals and say, I want to be a grandmaster in 3 years. How do I get there? The problem with that is most people don't have the motivation or the discipline to stick with something for that long period of time. However, everybody can stick with something that is very concrete in a very short period of time, like 2 weeks. And that's the way we've been training together. A 2-week goal of improving 20% on a very specific exercise and only 1 hour a week of dry fire for 2 weeks. Everybody knows that dry fire works. Everybody knows how wonderful it is, but very few people will do it. I want to change that by having you guys focus on just 2 weeks at a time and 1 exercise at a time. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to do it in parts. We're going to break it apart into 3 parts. So I'm going to show you in a practice session what they look like for the Lucas Botkin 1, 2, 3, 4 exercise. We're going to break it apart into 3 pieces, and you're going to practice those 3 pieces every time you dry fire. The third thing is, and the last thing is, the targets in the space that we are in. We're going to use Ben Steger's 1/3 targets. They actually look like this. And because they're 1/3 size, every 1 foot equals 1 yard. So this is 5 feet apart. That's 5 yards apart. And 10 feet back will be 10 yards from the targets. I have 3 of these across there, and I've got the perfect setup now to practice at home in the 1, 2, 3, 4 transition drill that Lucas Botkin has perfected. All right, guys, let's do a quick gear talk. I'm gonna only talk about the things that I think have made this a faster and more accurate gun for me. And let's start out up front. It's got a muzzle brake. It's got the Surefire War Comp muzzle brake. It's got a Surefire suppressor, the SOCOM RC2 suppressor on it that smooths out the recoil quite a bit for me. And then the other thing that I love about this one is that it's the upper and lower are manufactured at the same time. They try and find the upper and lower that fits the best in the factory. Does it make a difference in accuracy? Probably not. It makes a difference in fit. It just really fits together perfectly well. One thing that does make a big difference, the Geisley trigger. It's got a nice, really nice trigger pull to it. Really nice. About 3.5 pound trigger pull. Really flat, really smooth trigger pull. All right, guys, we're gonna talk about the Mantis. It's super simple to set it up. First thing you do is you drop the bolt carrier group and the charging handle. And I've already set the laser up, so I don't have to do that. There's a bolt carrier group, and here's the charging handle. And this is their laser, which is in the shape of a bolt carrier group and a charging handle. The breakthrough for me was Number one is the ability to go from a safe position up and know exactly where I was falling on the target. Up, know exactly where I was falling on the target. Let's say I'll go to the lower left, right-hand corner. Upper, red, T, lower left. So you know exactly where you're gonna shoot, and it hits exactly where, and this is the first time I've ever been able to do this. So first time ever, I'm able to see accuracy in dry fire. So let's see how it works in a real practice. All right, the first thing we're gonna do is do the part one, which is the up. It's from the muzzle is pointed at the feet of the target, and I'm gonna do it without a timer first. And all I'm trying to do is get up as quickly as I can. I'm taking the safety off and getting up and squeezing a shot off. Safety off, squeezing a shot off. After I do that, say a few minutes, I would put a timer on it, and I'm gonna start with a 0.4 timer. No problem, hit it, no problem. Yep, no problem. Okay, that's 3. So that's the first part. Now I would set up the transition part, and let's put a part time of, if my goal is say a 2.7, and it takes me, let's say, a 0.4, then I would want my transitions to be finished in about a 2.3. So I'm gonna put a part time about a 2.3 here. Okay guys, part 2 is gonna be the transitions. I'm already on the first target. I transition to the second target, hit twice. Transition to the third target, hit 3 times. Transition to the fourth target, hit 4 times. So I've already taken the 1 shot. So I'm now focused on my eyes, and it's already off safety. So I'm going now to the second one, hitting 2, to the third one, hitting 3, the fourth one, hitting 4. And I want to do that all within about 2.3 seconds. Here we go, let's try it out. There we go, that was a good one. That was good. Okay, so the third part is gonna be the full exercise. That's on a 2.7 second part time. Let's try it out. Got it, that was done probably in about 2.6 seconds. There you go, another one about 2.6, 2.7 seconds. Here we go. Good, that was probably a little bit far. The trigger work and the transition work, except on the last target, the third target, was good. My times were good, but I was off on accuracy. That's what the great thing about this with the laser is, I can tell where I'm hitting. So let's try it again. Much better, much better. One more time. And let's wrap it. That's good. All right, so here's the trick. Your eyes have to go first. One is, because I have a plate carrier, it's gonna be hard to get this in the pocket. You gotta do the best you can. But the points that came in from Dan Hiss was I was leaning back too much, so I'm being much more aggressive. I'm leaning forward, and I'm whipping, being more athletic with my transition, with my eyes. My eyes go first, and I whip the gun to where my eyes are. So let's try that again. I'm gonna do it a little slower this time without a timer, so you can see it. Here we go. Comes up, 1, eyes, then eyes, all the way across, then eyes. All right, let's try it again with a timer. Good, that was actually excellent. All right, break it up into 3 parts. I practice each part separately until I feel good about it, and then I'll only focus on the full exercise. So I might do, let's say, if it's a new exercise for me, which it was when I first started this with Lucas Botkin, this challenge, I had never done this before. For the first 3 practices, which are 20 minutes each, I focused on the parts of it. Then once I got the parts down, I only did the full exercise. I like what Mike Jones from Garand Thumb says, if you're not fit, you're gonna die. I like to say, if you're not skilled, you're gonna die. Invest in your skills, guys. Go on this journey with me. You will be able to protect yourself. You'll be able to protect your family. You'll be able to protect your community more effectively. And it doesn't cost a dime is if you have to buy if you gotta buy one of these, okay, that's gonna cost you something. If you can't afford it, then get an app on your phone. If you can't afford the ammo, do the dry fire part because it will absolutely translate. You absolutely will get better. You have to take responsibility for your own destiny in life and in everything. I'm an old guy now. Most of you guys are gonna be much younger than me, and some of you guys are gonna have a lot more shooting experience, but you're not gonna have anywhere near the life experiences that I've had because I'm older. Now I will tell you, the things that I would have regretted going back would be not going for it, not being skilled at whatever I was choosing to do at the time. Anytime that I've ever gone after anything, I used to do road racing, I would go for it with everything I had. I cared about the gear, but I really cared about the skill. I used to train a lot of athletes around the world, and I cared about their skill, not about the gear that they had. If you don't have the gear, all the gear, you don't have the Gucci gear, you don't have all this fancy stuff, maybe some of the stuff that I have that looks fancy, and it probably is, but I care more about the skills and the time that I spend mastering the craft than I do about the gear that I have. Last thing I want to say is join me on this journey. I'm doing one skill at a time over a 2-week period. I go out, I do my baseline. Then I go out and I do my dry fire, and then I go back and I do my skill test, which is how much have my skills improved. Every single time, I'm reaching and exceeding my goals with the exception of one because I set a really high standard of excellence for this exercise, the 1, 2, 3, 4 exercise, because I wanted to get 3 sets from a cold start under 3 seconds, 3 sets in a row. That is hard to do, at least for me, that's hard to do when I had never ever seen or never studied or never spent any time on this exercise before. And I came back and crushed it. In my opinion, I just absolutely crushed it. And this isn't about me, bragging about me, it's about bragging about dry fire. I don't care about bragging about my skills. It's only to the point that it convinces you that this works.
All right, guys, I see in the comments of how many people really believe in dry fire, but most people say they don't do it. They don't do it. Why? It only takes 1 hour a week for 2 weeks at a time to work on one skill and get 20% better. Unless you're a grandmaster already, you're gonna get 20% better. That's the way to do this. So if you don't do it and the shit hits the fan, you're not gonna be ready. You're not gonna be able to protect yourself. You're not gonna be able to protect your family. You're not gonna be able to protect your community.
Please join me in this journey. If you guys have any ideas and you're in, say you're in. Make a comment down below, make a commitment to everybody saying I'm in, I'm all in on this. I want to protect my family, I want to protect my community, I want to protect myself, and I am in.
So time to grow a pair, and let's do this. It's only 2 hours over a 2-week period, one skill at a time, and I will do it right alongside with you guys. Let's do this.